please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.
So, Jeff, first guy I want to ask you about is JD Martinez. Interesting guy. Like, we talked about him a bunch in the preseason. It was someone that I targeted heavily. I thought his discount was just too it went too far this year. The Red Sox had a horrible weekend, but JD did look good. Hit 500 over the weekend, had a home run, 3 RBIs. We talked about 2020 a bunch. It was rough. We talked about the lack of the video room and all that kind of stuff really seemed like it affected him. Hit 213, still 11% barrel rate. And this is a guy that 2017 to 2019, 45 home runs, 43 and 36, over 104 RBIs in all 3 of those years. Hit over 300 all those years too. There's a guy that high average, high power, high RBIs. The guy that was a second-round pick last year. Were you in on Martinez this year? I don't remember. I know that we talked a lot about Cruz as a kind of UT-only guy, but where were you on JD?
I like Cruz, and Cruz for sure better. Alvarez is right there. I mean, the fact that he was UT-only was the thing that kind of pushed people away a little bit, but I did get him in the RotoWire Staff Keeper League, which was a salary cap or / auction league. So there I thought, okay, yeah, why not? But I think that's the only league where I got him. So, 1 out of 17 is not that much. So, it's like I said, I like Cruz better, and I think I liked Jordan a little bit, but slightly better too.
It was weird. Martinez played a lot of outfield in the spring, but he did DH all 3 games this weekend, so he has not got any games toward eligibility. I just thought the discount went too far, and sometimes you can see guys, you're like, I can see why the discount's there. I can see why he struggled, but still hit the ball really hard last year. So I took that as a positive and someone that I think is going to be I'm probably a little bit worried about the Red Sox offense, but at least the top half should be pretty decent. Mm-hmm. But, he's got Bogarts right there. Bogarts had a rough weekend. But I think JD's going to hit, and I think they're going to give up a lot of runs. They're going to be a lot of high-scoring games. I think he's going to be someone we look back as a 7th-round pick is going to get a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, I know there's already people freaking out about Devers having 2 bad games, both offensively and defensively. Get the day off today. Bogarts is a little rough, but again, whatever. It's cold in New England to start the season.
And the freaking out over 3 games is just like if you have in regular season, you never even notice it.
Right, exactly. So
But I guess it's hard not to. We've been waiting for all these games. I guess it's hard not to, but just it's baseball. Like we can't. Even a guy has bad 2 weeks, don't freak out.
Yeah, but at the same time, we can't use this to confirm our priors that we like a guy either.
Of course,
when he's off to a good start, because he feasted off the Orioles, left-handed pitchers too. Yeah, but.
Yeah, no, that is true, and he tends to hit those better. But I don't know. There's not a ton of pitching in that division that scares me anyway. I mean, Tampa Bay obviously, and then you got Cole with the Yankees, but there's nobody on Toronto or the rest of the Yankee staff really frightens me too much.
No.
I mean, Kluber and Tyon, we haven't seen much. We haven't seen Tyon.
Montgomery, I like.
Yeah, I do too, but a lefty, I would never worry about that with JD. I'm fine at hitting, but I like some of the Yankees, but not a staff that I'm really worried about starting my offense against.
Sure.
You mentioned Jose Berrios had a fantastic game. One of the better games of his career is the highest swinging strike rate game of his career is 19%. He had 22.6% called strikes in that game. Like his CSW was something like 41 or 42%. It was a bonkers number. That's the number that was high of his career. 6 innings, no hits, no walks. He actually got pulled because of pitch count first start of the season, but he was pulled with the no hitter going. 12 strikeouts in that game. You and I talked about Barrios a few weeks ago. It just always feels like you're ready to take that next step, but never has. And how long does it take with you a pitcher? Like how many starts do you need to see before you think that maybe something's new here? Obviously, it's not one, but is it 4 or 5 starts you see something different? Or how far along the season you really like decide maybe that Barrios has taken that next step?
Well, I fear of being wrong, so I'm almost already there. But reasonably good opponent. Although I'll say this: Milwaukee struck out a ton last year.
They did. They were sneakily bad last year. They were one of those weird teams that did not hit the ball well last year, and we thought they were going to be really good too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Burns was almost as good, except for Byron Boomstick getting that one home run off of him. But
let's not put Nelly's nickname anywhere near Byron Buxton, please.
Okay, but and he gets Seattle this week. I know Seattle can be fun and young and maybe on the upswing, but it's looking pretty good there. I mean, and then he gets Boston next week. So maybe that's, if he has a reasonable outing in those two, well, then I'm going to probably have to backtrack a little bit. I thought he was more an SP3 than an SP2. I thought he should be in the hundreds instead of like 70 where he was going.
Yep.
Yeah. So far, I'm not looking so smart on that one.
And it's funny because I think we all were so in the, everything was so major last year with the short season. Like every start mattered so much. And Luis Castillo, I kind of freaked out every day. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe my ace gave up all these runs. And then I realized that I was kind of in that 2-month mode where those games crushed. They still crush you, but like they've really crushed you last year when your guy makes 11 starts or whatever it was. But they're going to happen this year. It's a long season, so I'm trying not to. I'm trying to freak out. People, I have some group text with people, and I probably rant about players too much, and I freak out when guys get hurt or give up bad starts. But I'm trying to do less of that. Trying to get not low, so low on the lows. But it's funny how I think we got in that mindset of every at bat and every start was so important last year that maybe we need to back off that a little bit and kind of give guys a little bit of time to see on both sides.
Yeah, well, and it's funny you mentioned Castillo because we did get it. I got into a little back and forth with Frank Stampful. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He writes in podcast for CBS. And we were talking. He was worried about the velocity being down. I was like, well, velocity has been down early in the season for Castillo before.
Is he a not like cold weather kind of guy?
It's funny, and his agent jumped in. I think it's his agent
on your guys' thread.
Yeah, and said,
"Oh wow,
well, here, this was what the temperature was, and this is what his velocity was." It's like, it's like basically, don't freak out.
Okay.
So even though the velocity was down against the Cardinals, don't freak out.
And it's funny, you watch that first inning, and there was a couple bloop singles, and then Dylan Carlson hit the jack off the foul pole, but and then it seemed like it got worse as it went along. It seemed like the first inning was a little bit of bad luck, and then as the game went on, he kind of started. He couldn't get it going at all.
Well, and the defense was terrible the whole game though too.
Suarez made that error in the first inning, and it just got crumbled after that.
Yep.
But
he gets Pittsburgh next, so and then at San Francisco.
I like it. Okay, we got to have a couple good starts then.
Yeah.
So a guy that I was worried about in preseason, I have in my notes here when I kind of talked about him and I was doing my own work preseason. It took a leap of faith to take him this year. Is Chris Paddack. You kind of had to throw away 2020 because he was legit bad in 2020. He gave a ton of hard contact. 47% hard hit rate, barely up to 11%. He was not good today. He had pitched 4 innings, gave 4 hits, but walked 3 guys, which is kind of the biggest concern there. Also had 3 strikeouts, gave 2 earned runs. So the runs weren't that bad, but 3 walks and 4 hits in 4 innings. He only made it through 4 innings. I thought it took a leap of faith to take him, and I almost took it in a couple of spots. Like he kind of fell a little bit. I'm like, oh, maybe he was so good in 2019. The pedigree's there. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Paddack after this first rough start? Does it change your opinion at all yet?
I was worried enough about him that I made a trade in a league where I have him as a keeper, so I wouldn't have to use him right away. I want to double check, but I'm pretty sure I had him benched this week. I'm hoping I did because then I'd feel like I'm almost smart. Because the last two spring training games, he was pretty awful too. And I already had Gallen hurt. No, I had Paddack active. I wasn't so smart. But I'm worried. I traded for Darvish. And then here's I took Domingo Germán early in our reserves just so I want to make sure he was covered a little bit. I took another starter in there, but it didn't work out very well. But yeah, I'm worried. I am definitely worried about him. The only places I got him was January DC and then my 2 keeper leagues. I don't have him anywhere else.
Yeah, I admit that I'm a little worried too, and I think I came into the season worried. And then you see a start that's does not look very good. You just get a little bit worried. I mean, he did give up a lot of ground balls, which I guess you do like today. But I don't know, the 3 walks kind of jump out to me because he's a guy that doesn't walk people. I mean, his walk rate was 4.9% last year, and granted, it's only 1 start, it's only 3 walks. If he walked, 2 guys, we probably wouldn't worry about it. So I get that you're really kind of looking at very, very small numbers here. But I don't know. As a start one in a season that I was already worried, this one certainly didn't quell any of those worries at all, and it maybe added to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's home against Arizona. Like, that should be a good spot, too.
Yeah. It should have been. It should have been. But, yeah. And the thing is, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. He hasn't gotten that 3rd pitch. They said they were trying, and he was getting his butt kicked on his fastball last year.
Crushed. 658 slugging against the fastball. He got crushed.
And I don't see anything better about that.
Yeah, and his chase rate was way down last year. I wonder if people just figured out he's a 2-pitch guy and you just kind of pick and lay off one. I don't know what is. I don't know enough to know about that, but I don't know. I'm not he's not a guy that I would try and trade low, buy low right now. I think I'd just stay away from him.
I'd agree with that. And keep in mind, they're going to have lots of options. They're going to get Lamet back sometime soon.
Yep.
Who's to say? We'll say Morejon is going to pitch he's got 2 starts this week. Those are big starts.
Are you if you have him, do you use him this week? Because I am.
Morejon or Paddack or both?
Morejon.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you draft him and you have him, you got to use him this week. I don't know.
Why would you not use him if you have him on your roster?
I saw some talk that you're worried about how many innings he's actually going to pitch, if he's going to make it to 5. But I think if you're not going to throw him this week, you should have dropped him last week.
Agreed. Let someone else fab him.
The other guy in this kind of same vein I want to ask you about is Clayton Kershaw. I mean, you and I talked about him last week or the week before we were doing our drafts. Like, I think we were kind of mid-second on him, and then after the spring, we're like, yeah, maybe mid-third. And I wasn't pushing him up nearly as much as I was, and both my draft picks were in that like mid-second range, and I was not taking him at that point anymore. Whereas I think a month before that I probably would have. Opening day, it's in Colorado. I get that, but you look at what all the other Dodgers pitchers did. They pitched really well against the Rockies, who aren't a very good offense right now. I think I can say that. And they got some young guys. They mix guys around. But yeah, Kershaw gave up 10 hits on opening day, 5 2/3, 5 earned runs. Only 2 strikeouts. He had a 7.8% swing strike rate in that game. Granted, it's one game. He gave up 0 barrels in that game, so there wasn't a ton of hard contact. But his fastball averaged 90.7, gave up a lot of hits. Another guy kind of like Paddack that I'm probably worried about just because I came in worried, and this just made me a little bit more so.
Yeah, that's all right. You can cheer for him against your A's on Tuesday, though. So that.
Oh, great. So he's got an 8-inning shutout coming on Tuesday. That's great.
Yeah. Well, the point about the velocities, it's down from last year, but it's the same as it was 2 years ago. Yep. So I don't know what that means. It could be significant, might not be. The lack of swinging strikes obviously is a concern.
Yeah,
but it's also Coors Field too.
One game in Coors Field, I do get that. I'd like to, if I have him though, I'd like to see him pitch pretty well pretty soon here before I actually do get worried about him.
For sure.
One other guy I want to ask you about before we get out of here, Nate Lowe leads the majors, 9 RBIs over the weekend, homered on Sunday. The free Nate Lowe movement on Twitter might finally be there. I think the best news with Nate Lowe is that he played every game. He hit 5th, and 4th in those 3 games. I think is the most important thing. You take out all the 9 RBIs is great, and obviously you want that, but that's one series. I think the fact that he's hitting middle of the lineup every day is pretty important in his situation.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think I don't believe they faced a lefty yet, right?
They played Texas. Yeah, I don't think
they played Kansas City. They faced Singer.
Kansas City and Texas, I confused them all weekend. I don't know what the heck
they trained together in spring training. It's normal. Go. But they faced Keller, righty. They faced Singer, righty. Yep. Singer is righty, right?
Singer's a righty.
Yeah. And then who was the third that they faced?
It would have been
Minor.
Oh, Minor's a lefty, so he did get one lefty.
Okay, well, I'm encouraged. Yeah, I'm absolutely encouraged too. A couple of lefties, Matz and Ryu to start the week. And Morejon at the end of the week. So 3 out of 6 this week. We'll see if this is a chance for Guzman to play a little bit.
But Guzman's lefty too.
Don't confuse me with using facts.
That's kind of a weird situation because I can't really platoon them, huh? I just realized.
You're right. Yeah, I'm encouraged. I mean, Lowe should start.
He should.
Guzman's a known commodity.
And I know he had the buzz there. He had a really good spring for a while, but it seemed like the last week or so they really committed to Lowe, and I think they're going to see what they can do, and they got him for a reason. And not only he's playing every day, I love he's hitting middle of the lineup, and I don't think their lineup's not great, but you're going to hit in the middle of it. You're going to get some chances to drive guys in. You have Gallo could drive you in if he goes behind or if he's in front of him, he gets on base, walks, etc. Mm-hmm. I like the spot right now. I think that's it's definitely the arrow's definitely pointing up on Nate Lowe.
It is.
Jazz Chisholm, last guy. I went just 2 stolen bases on Saturday, one of which he got picked off and just outran the pickoff, which was pretty fun. And he stole third on I wish guys stole third more often. You get a better jump. He's only 2 for 10, but 5 hard hit balls. He's a guy that he smokes the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a boomer bust sort of guy, but
he defines boomer bust, but he's so fun.
Yeah, and he's got blue hair, so that's cool too.
Blue hair, and there's no reason for them not to just play him every day. I think that he's someone that just one of those guys, young in baseball, and it's really fun to watch. And I hope it works well. He only had 2 strikeouts, only 1 series, but I do like the fact that didn't strike out a ton this weekend, and someone that I'm slowly finding myself really flipping on Marlins games to watch his at bats.
Yeah, I got a good Wesley Snipes and Demolition Man feel from him, but he seems fun. I got one situation I wanted to talk about before we sign off.
Please do.
The Cleveland bullpen. Karinchak pitches the 8th inning on opening day. Wittgren comes in the 6th inning on Saturday and gets knocked around, gives up 3 runs. Class A comes in today, Class A, and was brilliant, throwing a bunch of 100-mile-an-hours, albeit with like a 9-3 lead. So, obviously it wasn't a high-pressure situation, but Class A was also warming up on Thursday on opening day when Soto was kind of struggling with the save chance against him in case he needed somebody. So I thought that was kind of interesting. How are you handicapping that bullpen? Because they haven't had a saves chance yet.
I love Clase right now. If I had any place I had him, I'd be really happy. I love the fact the guy throws hard and doesn't walk guys. Like he's nasty, and we don't get many guys that nasty. You look at this walk rate. Was it 6% last year?
2 years ago. He didn't pitch last year.
Oh yeah, sorry, 2 years ago, and then same numbers in the minors. Like last 2 years, 2018 and 2019. He had some walk issues early on, but like walk rates have been elite level in 2018, 2019, both across the majors and the minors. Granted, it was not many innings, but he threw 23 innings in 2019 with Texas and really good walk numbers. I think the stuff is there that the K rate should go up. It hasn't really been high at any point, but that's who I'd want right now if I had to pick one of the three. And I think it's very clear that Karinchak is not the guy. They're going to use him in kind of high leverage spots, and what did he do? Walk 3 guys his first outing, and I think the command is not quite there enough to trust him as a closer right now.
Yeah, and Wittgren
despite admittedly electric stuff and a ton of punch outs, but I think it's hard to have a guy like that in ninth inning that you just don't know if he's going to go in there and throw 12 straight balls.
Are you cutting Wittgren if you have him?
I have him in one league, and I just didn't. He was my second drop, and I didn't get the second guy, but I was really close. I'd like to see one more week, but. Yeah, it's got to look pretty good this week for me to hold on any longer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We always say it's a long-term game, but you know what? There's guys out there we want to pick up. Somebody has to get cut,
and that's very key because I said it earlier that I was trying to dropping guys, but some of these guys we talked about getting picked up in Fab turn out to be really good, then it's a mistake not to drop some of my guys. So I mean, if Julian Merriweather saves 30 games, it's a mistake. Whoever I kept not to pick him up. So it's just. You got to act quickly on ads too. You can't wait 2-3 weeks because all the leagues we play in, any kind of competitive league, anybody with a pulse is picked up that first week.
Yep, that's right. One more thing I want to throw out when we were talking Ginkel in Arizona, I forgot to mention this then, but I think I may have mentioned another time. Torey Lovello had an interesting quote when he said that they're going to go committee. He goes, he was inspired by the Kevin Cash usage of the bullpen in the playoffs, and I want to improve as a manager. And he was inspired by that as a path to doing so. So prepare to be frustrated. He's already kind of a frustrating manager to begin with. If you had Archie Bradley the last couple of years, so yeah, I'm not thrilled about Ginkel this week, but
I'm gonna toss him out there, see what we get. But that's a quote that I'm not especially happy about as someone who grabbed Ginkel on the cheap.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. It's obviously fantastic to have games back. It's really fun to talk about actual games, just drafts now. So it's a lot of fun. Looking forward to this all season long. I always love to sit down and talk baseball with Jeff on Sunday nights. Always fun. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Genstead. If you have any questions or stuff you want us to cover on other podcasts, please hit us up there. Other than that, hope everybody has a fantastic week and take care. We'll be back at you next Sunday night. Take care.